Happy Wednesday, everybody, and thank you again for joining another live cooking class with myself. And I have a special guest today, my coworker Sam. Sam has been missing from Wellness U lately. He's been in cardiac rehab, holding down the fort. And I'm so excited because today we get to make Sam's tacos. He is like the taco master. So I'm going to go ahead and let him take over.
Yeah, so today we're going to do tacos, and I think majority of the time when you have a taco party, most people think ground beef, cheddar cheese, sour cream, and that's not a very healthy taco party. So I like to do a big spread of vegetables. So today we're going to show just a quick example of some of our vegetables and serve up some delicious tacos. This is something you can do with your family or friends in gatherings. Unfortunately 6 feet apart now, but instead of having gives good opportunity for your friends and family to have more vegetables in foods that we normally like. Yeah.
And what I love, I've been to some of Sam's taco parties before, and one thing I've always loved that he does is like spread everything out on the table, and so you just get all the different kind of colors right away. So you have like onions, cilantro, green onions, black beans, tomatoes, spinach, red peppers, mango, jalapeno, avocado, lime, beets, and sweet potatoes, just so much stuff. So Sam, can you tell us everything we're making today?
Yeah, so my favorite style is big spread and then make your own. But everything here is quite lovely and healthy. So today we have sweet potatoes and beets. This is going to be our staple to our tacos. For protein, instead of doing a meat-based protein, because there's a lot of research out there that individuals that divulge into a plant-based diet, at least 50% of their day, are nutrition, have great health outcomes and cardiovascular benefit. So for our protein source, black beans, and for our protein source, we're going to do a fun chip dip. Because every taco party, you can't not have tortilla chips. But how do we make that healthy? So, family recipe. You get some lentils, feta cheese, and then bruschetta. So hearty chip dip. So if you have just a salsa, you could eat those chips all day long. And then by the time our tacos are ready, you could be stuffed and not ready to enjoy some healthy tacos.
If people at home don't know, what is bruschetta?
Yes, so bruschetta, I kind of have to look at it, but it's mostly sunflower oil, onions, and tomato puree. It's not the most healthy thing in the world, but it's also not the worst thing in the world. So it has 2 grams of fat, no saturated fat. So again, going back to our tacos, we're going to make delicious tacos with minimal to none saturated fat, as saturated fat is coined as one of the leading causes for heart attack, strokes, and cardiovascular disease. So very flavorful and a lot of olive oil. And so then we'll get into that when we start talking about olive oil and some diets that our people in the blue zones eat. Anyways, not to get too far off track, we also have some green onions. We have some spinach. We have some red peppers. Jalapenos for spicy lovers.
And I would say a really cool fact about spice is that usually a spice is a protective mechanism for the plant against like predators. And there's actually a really cool kind of interesting research study where they looked at mustard and plants especially, and by regions of what they had to like combat with predators, and depending on where they were, the spiciness or like that mustardy taste changed on where they're at. And another little thing is like when we think of like we have something spicy, it's actually a receptor in our body that says like, oh my gosh, it's something is spicy, but it's actually not supposed to say, it's only detecting heat. So it's kind of adapted because it's supposed to say we're not, what's the word? If we're to drink boiling water, that's a receptor of our body saying, don't do this. This is really hot, but it also does the same for spice. But then it's like, oh, okay, you can still have that. So it's kind of interesting research on that.
It is interesting. So I'm a big sweater when I eat spice.
Yeah.
But I love spice. But what is that saying?
I wonder if it's your body's, it must still be signaling like, hey, stop. or you have more of a reaction to like. It'll be interesting to see like your background of how like your.
We come from Michigan.
Yeah, that's probably it as well.
Okay. Anyways, we have some cilantro, and so again, add your own because some people think that tastes like soap, but I think it's very flavorful and a nice herb. Onions protects the endothelial wall. Don't too sciencey on that. And we're gonna make a salsa out of the mango, tomato, red pepper, jalapenos, green onions, and cilantro and lime. And then we have, of course, avocados. You cannot not have avocados. So that's the spread.
Do you want to get started with the onions?
Yeah, so we're going to cook the onions for you. We already cooked sweet potatoes and beets. That would be a long cooking show.
And again, last week we talked about olive oil, and as a reminder, you're not supposed to pour the olive oil over the hot pan, which this pan is not hot yet, so I don't want anybody to call me out saying, hey, you told us not to do that last time, and now you're doing it.
Would it be the first time?
I don't do it all the time.
Okay. So yeah, we're just going to cook the onions. Nothing really special there. Just kind of take the raw flavor out of that. We'll probably leave the red bell peppers raw for the salsa, a little more zest for that.
Do you want to get going with this?
Yeah, and the chip dip, super simple. Our lentils kind of got a little more mushy than intended. If you can get cooked lentils already, instant crowd pleaser. Very hearty though. If you eat a lot, you will not want them. So all it is, open the jar, dump the jar. Open the feta, dump the feta. And now we just mix it around. Kind of funky, but it tastes great.
Looking for a spoon?
Yeah, just something this. Maybe something a little more. I'll just use this guy. Here. Yep. So this is also great. You know, I think a lot of dudes love their crunchy foods, and so this is a good chip dip to kind of help you slow down, but also get to explore that that need for something crunchy. There's a lot of fiber and protein in lentils, so it's going to break down nice and slow. You won't get that high glycemic index and that spike and crash. And that's what you'll see. You know, of course the tortillas are going to have a little higher glycemic load, but all in all, our meal here is very fiber-esque and has good plant source protein.
And a good point too is like with the avocado and then like cooking our onions in olive oil, we're getting like a healthy fat source along with our protein. Because if we were to say like, hey, let's just eat all the vegetables, not add any beans that are protein source or our fat source, we might be feeling a little bit later like, man, I'm still hungry, even though we have a lot of fiber. Protein and fat makes us feel satiated for a lot longer.
And if you wanted to, you could add meat to this meal, which would be no problem, and you're still getting a ton of vegetables, and they're really easy. Like these tacos are my go-to for big gatherings. Like Savanna and I have big social gatherings every time it's taco party because they're so easy, and everyone can create their own what they like. But the reason I'm doing a plant-based one is due to that research of trying to think of good, easy meals without having to add meat. Yeah.
Can I give it a go?
Give it a go.
Feel weird like eating this time.
I'm gonna give it a whirl.
That's really good.
Yeah, I did kind of what I want. I would have wanted lentils to stay kind of a little more structure to them. Just for a little more aesthetic, really. But all in all, I think it still has the same concept.
Should we move on to the salsa?
Yeah, let's move on to salsa. So now you can use those chips for salsa as well. Alright. Let's see what we're going to put in the bowl. So we pre-cut all these. So easy, simple salsa. So we're going to use the mangoes. So we'll just make a little batch here. So the mangoes is going to be, it's a mango salsa. This is going to be our kind of core structure of our mangoes. I'll just make a little bit because there's only a few of us here. And of course, you can use jalapenos to add your own spice. Kind of feel out the crowd. I sweat, but I do like spice. Maybe you guys can see it on camera. Some green onions. We'll do some tomatoes. Give it kind of that pico de gallo background with a little zest. Let's load up tomatoes here. Start mixing around. Cilantro. I know you guys don't think it tastes like soap. And a little red bell peppers. So a good salsa, good hearty salsa where it's not, doesn't have that many preservatives and very fresh. So I probably would have maybe, looking back on this, diced it up a little more, but sometimes I like your salsa to be a little crunchier. And we're going for hearty chip tips here. And then lastly, we will throw on some lemon juice.
Lime?
Oh, lime. Lime, lemon, same kind of citrus.
Acidity.
And we'll mix that all around. I might do one more lime. Lemon would actually be kind of interesting.
That would be kind of interesting.
All right, Savannah. Taste test.
Taste tester.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
Why do you like mango so much in your salsa? You're a big mango person.
Mango's my favorite fruit, and I don't know. I like the mango. I do think. We don't know if she likes that one.
No, it's really good. The mango provides like a nice sweetness. Tastes very fresh.
And
the cilantro adds like a little.
You could have a little bit of mango, a lot of mango. I mean, again, the thing I like about these tacos is here's the bones. Now design it the way you like. Everyone's taste palates are a little different.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a little heavy on the mango.
I like it.
Oh yeah, there's a spice. I might start sweating. Alright, how are we looking?
Pretty good. Starting to do a little
Yeah, I think that's good.
Cool.
So the other thing about this meal is we're not cooking things to excess. We're not caramelizing our onions. We're not zapping the nutrients out of it. Every once in a while, you could, but for the purposes of having a nutritious taco party, we're gonna keep the nutrients there. All right, next little tip. Where are the tortilla wrappers?
Oh, just there.
All tortillas come 85% cooked. So it's always a good idea to then put it on the pan and finish that last 15%. So we're gonna use some nice good olive oil. Heat that up and cook our tortillas to the last 15%. So I just like to make them warm and crispy, but again, I don't zap it.
Cool.
Just gonna throw a little bit extra. 'Cause we're gonna do a lot. But that's something that we're not supposed to do, right?
Because that's a hot pan. Yeah. It's a no-no.
It's a no-no.
Do you want to talk about blue zones?
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. Okay. So another thing I was thinking about this meal. When I look at blue zones, I always talk about blue zones, but I think they're very fascinating.
Can you explain first what blue zone is?
Yeah. A blue zone is 6 geographical locations that have individuals with the highest longevity. And so there's one in Greece, Italy, Japan, Costa Rica, and California.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things they have in common is people who live in blue zones, they eat 95% a plant-based diet. But what I love about it is that they're all different diets. I'm going to use my little cheat sheet so I'm accurate. But Greece, Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, red wine, and homegrown vegetables. So what's kind of cool is that you can douse your vegetables in good olive oil. I'm sure we talked about olive oil a lot in the past. But another good reason for unsaturated fats. Italy is they live in the mountain regions, typically work on farms, so good hearty vegetables right from the source, and drink lots of red wine, or red wine probably in moderation. It says lots of red wine. Japan, it's Okinawa, Japan, home of the world's oldest woman, who eat a lot of soy-based foods, practice Tai Chi, and dive into meditative forms of exercise. So again, soy-based, plant-based foods. Costa Rica, beans and corn and tortillas. So that would have been a good one. You can do a corn, bean, Southwest style here, Costa Rican style. Another plant-based. And then Loma Linda, California is very strict vegetarians and tight-knit communities, and Seventh-day Adventists.
So what are some things that all of these places have in common? If you were to kind of break it down. Yeah,
when you really look at all these cultures together, one of the biggest things is social interactions. They're very tight-knit. So again, a taco party would be great because you're bringing people together and everyone's enjoying the food, having good conversation. I think socialization is actually one of the biggest things for cardiovascular health too. And right now is an interesting time. So, you can even do cooking classes or having taco parties with your family and maybe educate them on, hey, maybe you don't have to have ground beef and let's try some vegetables. Another thing is they have moderate physical activity, but it's not so much more physical activity than the daily, but they inconvenience themselves often, where they sit on the floor, they walk everywhere, they don't have cars, they do manual labor, so they're very active throughout the whole entire day. And a lot of it's plant-based foods.
Cool. How are our tortillas?
They are not really doing great. You need to turn it up.
So other ways you can prepare this, say you're not really big into tacos, is that you could easily take a big thing of spinach and then add all your toppings on top, and it's still super colorful, very nutrient dense. You're still getting all your protein. You're just maybe missing out on some of the carbohydrates. That's usually what I prefer to do, is make a big salad, because I love salads. So that's one way. You could also do nachos, little chips, make a big kind of spread with that. A lot of vegetables here would be another way to eat this. That's kind of fun and different.
Yeah.
And it adds a lot of different textures and flavors and colors through there.
You want to hear a crazy idea?
Sure. Mama's is always full of crazy ideas, so I'm used to it.
But using a breakfast taco.
Oh, yeah.
The same kind of idea. We have all these ingredients. Favorite thing I love about doing these taco parties when you guys all leave is I have so much food and so much leftovers that I crack an egg on it and create a vegetable, a breakfast taco, or yeah.
Another thing too is say you are going to use ground beef, ground turkey as your protein source. Maybe you're doing shredded chicken. Make your own taco seasoning. The packets that we buy in the store are full of sodium, full of preservatives, just not very good for us. And there's a lot of really easy recipes that you can find online that you probably have most of the spices at home, and you just add them in there instead of like opening that packet up that's full of so much stuff that we really don't need. So that's a good tip if you're gonna add meat and you want some taco seasoning on there.
Now we're cooking. We just needed it to be just a little bit hotter. Yeah, I just really always think like Salida could definitely be a blue zone if we really just get it all together.
Yeah.
I feel like we have the bones, right? Social engagement. I think there's a lot of activities. People dive into a plant-based diet.
Yeah. And I think that's like what we're big here with at Wellness too, is we're not just saying like you need to go exercise really hard for an hour. Like we really want you to have like really good relationships with people around you. We want you to have like really good like nutritious food. We want you to move a lot. So whether it's like you're walking, we have people that walk to go exercise here, and then they walk home, or they walk to the grocery store, to the library. Like they're constantly moving. It's not that we're saying, hey, exercise really hard and then go sit down and you're good for the rest of the day. We want like a lifestyle prescription of like, you know, eating well, living well, mental, emotional, spiritual, all that kind of jazz. So that's something we really think is so important. And that's what like the blue zones are kind of pointing at here too, is that it's not just eat and exercise, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, I found as an exercise physiologist that really profound that they're not doing hours and hours and hours on end of exercise. They're doing just about the normal amount, but just inconvenience yourself a lot. Commuting, and which is great for the environment too. Commute to work, use recyclable grocery bags, carrier bags, you know, all that stuff. Just any way you can think to, how can I make this inconvenience for myself to some extent in the physical aspect. All right. I think we're ready to start formulating our masterpieces. Yeah.
We can dive in first.
All right.
Hit it.
So let's get our plates. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do one at a time. I'm going to grab my taco, and I'm going to make an avocado spread mash as the base.
Oh.
Well, I wanted to. It's not quite working. Crestmeat, there's a really good taco spot. It's called Double Stuffed Tacos, and they use guacamole as the glue.
Oh.
Not the most healthy, but it's delicious. So I'm going to do heavy on the avocado. I'm going to go crazy and throw a little bit of salsa in there. Grab the sweet potatoes and beets. Ooh, some cilantro. Let's see. We do some beans for the protein. And I'm starving. I didn't eat
Everybody's
lunch.
mouths are watering here.
No, I'm not gonna sweat too much on camera. Otherwise, I would have gone all for the jalapenos.
And when he says he sweats when he eats spicy food, it's like
intense.
He actually drips sweat. It's not like a joke
It's
either.
so embarrassing. It's definitely not first date material. A little bit of lime juice, and I think that's gonna go my first one, and then I'll see what I need to add and subtract for the next one.
Yeah, and you can have like fun little party things with this too. Is that I remember last time Sam had a taco party, he had a rule, and what was the who can make the best taco with the pear? My usual, I totally forgot about this. I usually bring one crazy item, like last time was a pear, and the rule was how to try and make a taco that tastes good with the pear. So it gets you creative and thinking outside the box in tacos. Mm-hmm. Your turn, Savanna. I'm going to, I feel like this is like a game or something, like how can I best utilize the food on the table? I'm not going to use a tortilla, but I'm going to...
Crazy.
I'm crazy. You grab a couple chips. feel like with these cooking shows, I'm hitting all the staples that I had back home. Like, we always had tacos or like nachos for some reason. Who knows why? Probably because my dad loves that stuff. And then, oh gosh, this is hard. I'm gonna go with some salsa on top. I think I'm just gonna kind of do mine as like an appetizer. I'm not too hungry yet, so I'm gonna listen to my body and say, hey, you don't need a full meal.
That's some good. No, that's another thing the Blue Zone people do well is portion control.
Yeah.
They really got that down. I don't know
And then
what the secret is, but
some black beans here for my protein, so that I'm not just getting all of the carbohydrates. My blood sugar will stay nice and stabilized. Grab some avocado. And then I'm gonna top it with, I'm gonna grab another spoon. Some of this lovely dip Sam made, because it tastes delicious. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for joining us for our 4th cooking class. Sam and I are gonna go ahead and enjoy this. We're gonna sit down, relax, enjoy our company of our coworkers, and make sure we're eating mindfully. We have, I think, one more cooking class coming your guys' way. I don't know what we're making yet, but just wait and see. And speaking of, I need to give you guys an update on the kombucha. I almost forgot. Okay, so the word on the street, what I've been told from the kombucha masters, is that this is working out really well. So you can kind of see this film or stuff on top, and I guess that it's a really good thing that there's bacteria growing in here, and that we'll have to wait another week, and then we'll see what happens after that.
can't wait.
Get excited! You'll have to join in next time for sure to see how this all works out. But thank you guys for enjoying us. Enjoy the warm weather again. Call your friends, family, do a Zoom call, make tacos together, have a little dinner party virtually, or get outside, go for a walk, hike, since the weather is beautiful. But we will either see you in our classes or next Wednesday. Thanks.